journey through international politics has been a triumph of faith over experience. Since the time America entered the arena of world politics in 1917, it has been so preponderant in strength and so convinced of the rightness of its ideals that this century's major international agreements have been embodiments of American values. From the League of Nations and the Kellogg-Briand Pact to the United Nations Charter and the Helsinki Final Act. The collapse of Soviet communism marked the intellectual vindication of American ideals and, ironically, brought America face to face with the kind of world it had been seeking to escape throughout its history. In the emerging international order, nationalism has gained a new lease on life. Nations have pursued self-interest more frequently than high-minded principle, and have competed more than they have cooperated. There is little evidence to suggest that this age-old mode of behavior has changed, or that it is likely to change in the decades ahead. What is new about the emerging world order is that, for the first time, the United States can neither withdraw from the world nor dominate it. America cannot change the way it has perceived its role throughout its history, nor should it want to. When America entered the international arena, it was young and robust and had the power to make the world conform to its vision of international relations. By the end of the Second World War in 1945, the United States was so powerful, at one point about 35% of the world's entire economic production was American, that it seemed as if it was destined to shape the world according to its preferences. John F. Kennedy declared confidently in 1961 that America was strong enough to pay any price, bear any burden, to ensure the success of liberty. 3 decades later, the United States is in less of a position to insist on the immediate realization of all its desires. Other countries have grown into great power status. The United States now faces the challenge of reaching its goals in stages, each of which is an amalgam of American values and geopolitical necessities. One of the new necessities is that a world comprising several states of comparable strength must base its order on some concept of equilibrium, an idea with which the United States has never felt comfortable. When American thinking on foreign policy and European diplomatic traditions encountered each other at the Paris Peace Conference of 1919, the differences in historical experience became dramatically evident. The European leaders sought to refurbish the existing system according to familiar methods. The American peacemakers believed that the Great War had resulted not from intractable geopolitical conflicts, but from flawed European practices. In his famous 14 points, Woodrow Wilson told the Europeans that henceforth the international system should be based not on the balance of power, but on ethnic self-determination, that their security should depend not on military alliances, but on collective security, and that their diplomacy should no longer be conducted secretly by experts, but on the basis of open agreements openly arrived at. Clearly Wilson had come not so much to discuss the terms for ending a war or for restoring the existing international order, as he had to recast a whole system of international relations, as it had been practiced for nearly 3 centuries. For as long as Americans have been reflecting on foreign policy, they have ascribed Europe's travails to the balance of power system. And since the time Europe first had to concern itself with American foreign policy, its leaders have looked askance at America's self-appointed mission of global reform. Each side has behaved as if the other had freely chosen its mode of diplomatic behavior, and could have, were it wiser or less bellicose, selected some other more agreeable method. In fact, both the American and the European approaches to foreign policy were the products of their own unique circumstances. Americans inhabited a nearly empty continent, shielded from predatory powers by 2 vast oceans and with weak countries as neighbors. Since America confronted no power in need of being balanced, it could hardly have occupied itself with the challenges of equilibrium, even if its leaders had been seized by the bizarre notion of replicating European conditions amidst a people who had turned their backs on Europe. The anguishing dilemmas of security that tormented European nations did not touch America for nearly 150 years. When they did, America twice participated in the world wars which had been started by the nations of Europe. In each instance, by the time America